Hello world, and welcome to
Right on.
Coming Up, Weak Verbs and Passive Voice. The editing hell of Book 1 continues, with weak verbs and passive voice. Bear in mind, I have two lists of about 100 crutch words and a dozen passes of the manuscript already. So, why is my prose still full of garbage? Too tense. The text is supposed to be in close, third-person point of view, past tense. And yet, it's littered with ing verbs, present tense. In dialogue, they're fine. In narrative and description, just confusing. No matter how many times I go through the text, I find more of them. Last Thursday, he came downstairs and said, "I'm leaving now." That works. Spot the difference in these two. He pressed his hand to the door, stroking the antique brass of the hinges. That change of tense across two clauses just doesn't sit right. He pressed his hand to the door and stroked the antique brass of the hinges. I've gone through the text to shift as many ing verbs to ed endings as I can. Weaklings. Among the weakest verbs are was and were. These aren't active.
They are merely states of being.
They represent passivity. There's no feeling, sensation, or movement. There's no specificity. She was cold. Is this a novel or a crime scene report? Where's the empathy, the sense of place, the sensual detail? The chill autumn air bit at her skin. She shivered in response. How about, there were 7 horses in the field. Boring. Let's do better. 7 horses grazed idly in the field. 7 horses cantered in the warm sunshine, darting and skipping like foals. That's an example where a qualifying description allows for the ing verbs, which is fine, except I use it far too often. To had or had not. Another pet hate, had. The tracker had a bow and arrow. So what's the tracker doing with them? What are they like? Had states a bald fact, like a grocery list. The tracker drew the bow to full draw, a white-fletched arrow, nocked to the string, ready to shoot. The unlikely brothers. English is notoriously imprecise at times, tying itself in knots. Would and could feature far too often as the unlikely brothers. In common usage, would and could describe likely or unlikely hypothetical situations. Could might apply to polite requests. Could you open the window, please? Possibilities in the future. I could do something about it, I might not. Abilities in the past. As a teenager, I could run a mile in 10 minutes. Abilities now. I couldn't run that fast now, even if I wanted to. I'm more direct if I state, I can't run that fast now. Side note, what of even if I wanted to? Is that relieved? Wistful? Nostalgic? Ironic? It's very much open to the reader's interpretation. Would might apply to polite requests, but with a little more of an imperative. Would you open the window, please? Hypothetical situations. I would make changes if I were in charge. Polite offers. Would you like a drink? I would make changes is a clear statement of intent. I could make changes is far less definite. Would you like a drink? It's a little mealy-mouthed, hesitant, deferential. But can I get you a drink? That's much more positive, willing, and proactive. No would or could. Here, let's get those drinks and press on. In practice. But both could and would are open to abuse. Weak writing frames too many situations as conditional. I would do, or I could do, when action demands far more energy. We overly rely on constructions like, you fell off your skateboard? You could have died. Here is a hypothetical scenario in passive voice. It's a curiously elaborate construction we use in informal dialogue all the time. That doesn't make it good. You could have died. Yes, I know. Thanks for that overly dramatized commentary. Is that an expression of empathy and concern? Or is it intended as a warning? Too late. As advice? Too late. As passive-aggressive disapproval? A finger-wagging rebuke? No thanks. Would and could feature far too often in my prose. They frame something that will happen in the future, or something that may happen in an imagined situation. There are valid uses that speculate on possible events. Then there's this. Sometimes he would stop and touch the canyon walls, where glyphs marked past visits. The scene is not an imagined scenario. It's not an exploration of the future. It takes place in the now. So why not use direct and active verbs? In places, he stopped and touched the canyon walls, where glyphs marked previous visits. Woolly, woolly. When I'm writing, I like to think my prose is Hemingway sharp. When I'm editing, I discover it's Shaun the Sheep. Woolly, waffly, wordy, frequently free of all meaningful content.
Who wants to read that?
Direct, active, meaningful. Crutch words and passive constructions sap the energy from a text like few other errors. So on the 13th pass through the manuscript, I've made more than 300 changes against these few items alone. ing verbs. Was, were,
Had,
would,
could.
and the worst of it? We're not done with weak verbs and passive voice. There's more in the crutch list to come. Thanks for stopping by. You can like and subscribe to the channel, or go to robincatling.com.